Listener discretion is advised.
Don't ever think.
Ever again.
You are listening to Wine & Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
we have just had a week over here.
We are
And
alive.
It's Wednesday.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's Wednesday?
I
It's
think
only
so.
Wednesday.
There's no way to know for sure. My
By-
phone says yes.
I have to go.
I have to go.
I'm just being foiled at every turn.
Yeah,
And
you
the
are.
only thing that brings me joy right now are these recordings and
Yeah.
having a hot husband.
Oh.
Well, yeah.
That's
You
it.
gotta count. You gotta count what you got. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So thank you for being here for me.
You're welcome. Who are you?
Oh, fuck it. I'm Kenyan.
We're changing your name legally to, oh, fuck it, I'm Kenyan.
Oh,
in
fuck
one
it, I'm
word.
Kenyan. I'm Lucy still.
I'm Amanda. It is so hot in this
Yeah,
crevasse.
It's
Real
real hot.
Like all of a sudden. That's the
Yeah.
thing about the Midwest though.
Mhm.
It's like frost on the ground,
Yup.
jacket required, and it's like
To just
sock weather.
pure humidity.
12 hours, you're sweating your tits off.
Yeah.
In the heat. It's not the heat, it's the
It's-
humidity.
I could swim through the air in my bedroom.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can't have any like fans or anything going while we record. So y'all are going to see some real swoob by the end of this.
Drip, drip.
Mhm.
Whatever.
That's why I got my
Drip in.
crew neck on.
Yeah.
Keep all
I'm not
the
wearing a
moisture
bra.
in here.
Under this onesie that I have on.
Good.
this was
My
the
head
wrong
to toe
shirt
leggings
choice
that I'm
for
wearing.
this.
It is getting a little hot in my boot.
Oh my God. Your boot's going to reek by the time you're done with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not Rothy's, so I don't think I could just toss it in the laundry.
I don't think so. If
I don't-
Rothy started making
Making a hard sole boot.
for injuries.
I mean,
And now
Call me.
Rothy's crutches.
call
They
me
make-
for that collab.
Their medical tab drop down.
I would invest.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
funny. I
Okay,
love
so on to this episode's topic. This week we have a very special fan pick brought to you by Braxton and Sammy Powers.
Hicks.
More powers to you.
Mm-hmm. Braxton Hicks.
Isn't that a bad thing? Aren't those like
no,
contractions?
they're just like,
They're like
fake,
fake-
contractions.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're psych. You're not actually going into labor
Right.
yet.
Cool.
They're
Okay.
just a trick.
Mm.
A trick of the mind.
It's like pre-cum, but with
Okay.
contractions.
But
Yep.
with consequences.
It's like that. So Braxton and Sammy have selected the topic of Hoosier Daddy, aka Indiana crimes.
Y'all.
Yeah, or like
Oh,
Indiana dad crimes, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, mine is the fan picker's crime, and it is not a dad crime.
okay, so just Indiana,
Yeah,
as in
there's
the
a shitty
Hoosiers.
dad in it that definitely contributed to why this crime happened, but
Mhm.
it's not no.
Mhm.
It's just a Indiana mess.
Yeah, mine's also an Indiana mess with kind of a shitty dad.
It's a hot Indiana mess.
Speaking of humidity,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've like basically only driven through Indiana. I don't know anything about it.
It is a state.
It's a place. Isn't it where white bread was invented?
Like Wonder Bread?
Yeah,
Probably.
I think it was. Because
I
we were
didn't
like,
come across that fun fact, but I love it.
I thought we were trying to like find topics for a possible Indianapolis live
that's
show before COVID, and we were like, oh,
yeah,
Wonder Bread.
white bread crime.
Oh my God, we tried so hard, you guys.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
But when we come back, don't be surprised if we go with white bread crimes.
yeah,
Bread crimes.
it could happen.
Because
My-
as
my
of now, we've
entire-
blown our Hoosier load.
Yeah. My entire pandemic year has been a bread crime. So I'm fucking ready for that
Are
topic.
you Gwyneth? Should we call you GP?
I didn't make bread. I just ate it. I ate so much bread. The other night, Bill
She
made...
ordered it on DoorDash and ate it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Bill made dinner the other night, and it was like this really delicious, like very healthy dinner with like a nice salad and a little risotto. And then he had like some focaccia, like a wheel of focaccia. I ate half the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is such a healthy dinner. Half a wheel of bread.
Salad. You know what the salad needs is bread.
Bread. He ate like a very reasonable amount of focaccia, and I ate the majority of the entire loaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't see what's wrong with that.
There's
Sometimes
nothing-
you got the hankering.
wrong with it. It's just, this is my relationship with bread.
Yeah. I
Love
love
my
it.
bread.
You and Oprah
Close.
both.
Personal, intimate friendship.
I have
Um,
an intimate relationship with bread.
yeah. All right. So who's your daddy? Well, speaking of things that horrific
relationships.
things that we have tight relationships with, what's our wine crime pairing for who's your daddy?
You know, when I think of Indiana, probably don't immediately think about wine.
I think about Erberlinger's flute wine.
Erberlinger's fruit wine. But the state is home to over 100 wineries. And you can even
Wow.
book these like really cool wine tours like in a van through indianawines.org, which when I Googled Indiana wines, I found indianawines.org, which is a really cool website. And I highly recommend anyone living in or around Indiana check it out because it does have a really cool map of like all of the registered wineries in Indiana. There are these like wine trail tours that you can take where you get your van and it like takes you to all these different wineries for tastings.
And there's like a driver, so you
Yeah.
don't have to drive. So
It's
safe.
awesome.
Fuck yeah.
So I used that to find a winery in Indiana and then discovered all this other fun stuff we can do. So when we do finally get back out there for a show, we need to go on one of these wine tours.
Oh, yeah.
So through this website, I found Sip and Share Winery, which is a Black-owned boutique winery in Indianapolis, and they ship wine.
God bless them.
So you
Yeah.
don't have to be a local to get their wine, which is super exciting. So I did order some wines, and spoiler alert, they have not arrived yet. And also, spoiler alert, I took a pain pill today for my toe, so it's really not smart for me to be drinking right now. So I'm going to get high during this off of some weed and also my pain pill, but I'm not going to mix in alcohol because I'm being smart and safe.
And
Smart and
responsible.
safe.
And responsible, but I want to talk about one of the wines that I ordered, and this winery, the Sip and Share Winery, they use vegan winemaking practices, and their mission is to like make wine approachable and accessible for everyone because they feel like in the wine industry, a lot of people can be overlooked if you're not like super fancy or like don't know a ton about wine. And I love that. It's like an approachable, just delicious wine that you don't have to be a freaking sommelier to appreciate, you know?
There's nothing worse. It's just like if you wear like a band t-shirt in
Right.
high school as a female, and then there's always like a dude who's like, well,
Do you even
name
know them?
3 songs off their B-side sophomore
Oh my
album.
God.
When did their drummer get divorced for the 8th time?
Yeah.
That has happened to me so
Yeah.
many times.
Like,
And
I
it's
don't
dude, I
fucking know.
like the design of their logo.
Right.
Who the fuck cares?
I
How
like
is
the
this
shirt,
harming
or I
you?
like their 2 hit songs
Yep.
that
Yeah,
were on the
that's-
radio.
Perfectly
That's plenty.
valid.
That's
I also
plenty.
like, it's kind of like how Amanda has said multiple times, like, the wine that is right for you is the wines that
you like.
think taste
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It
How do you
doesn't
know if
matter
a wine is
like,
good?
And like I've said this before, but I went out for a nice steak dinner and the waiter was like pressuring me into ordering a red wine. And
You
I
don't
was
like
like,
red
red
wine.
wine makes me nauseous. I don't like red wine. And he like didn't want to let me order a white wine
hate
with my
that.
meal. I was like, go
Don't
fuck
fucking do that as a
yourself.
Yeah.
server or a bartender.
No.
You're not
No.
helping anybody.
Nobody
No.
fucking likes that. Don't do that.
No. So, one of the bottles that I ordered is called the Intention Riesling. And it looks amazing. This is a semi-sweet Riesling, so it's going to finish drier, which I love. It's like a perfect summer sipper. It's a nice light-bodied wine. It's crisp and refreshing with aromas of citrus fruits and white flowers with flavors of lemon zest and apple blossom. Like, I am just picturing sitting in my hammock with like a little plastic fucking patriarchy wine glass, swinging and sipping this refreshing Riesling.
I'd like a dry
Swinging and
Riesling.
swigging.
Swinging and swagging.
This wine also goes very, very well with vegan or vegetarian foods. Like, Riesling is so good with so many things. It's good with spicy food. So if you like, you know, like really spicy, like Asian-inspired food or even like
Indian
Mexican food, Indian food.
That sweetness will kind of balance out the spice.
Exactly. And it has a nice little bit of acidity. So it actually cleanses your palate between each bite, so you can like go in fresh on your meal like every single time you take a bite. If you take a sip in between, I love that. It also goes really well with barbecue, like sushi, salads. Like, this is such a versatile, awesome summer wine. Clocks in at 13% ABV and retails at only $20.
Nice.
So like, they are crushing it. Their prices are great, and again, they ship to almost all 50 states. But obviously, as we know, there are some states that are weird with
Their
receiving
laws.
alcohol. Yep. So, but if you live in Minnesota, you can absolutely get it delivered, and mine is on my way. I'm probably going to get a FedEx alert like tonight. That's like, it's here. And I'll be like, cool, thanks.
Kenyon, I think Kentucky laws are shifting, though.
They
because
are shifting.
That one winery was like, oh, all of a sudden we're able to ship to Kentucky. So
Congratulations. That's
I
awesome.
know. It's so the law has changed, and I don't know if it's like fully implemented yet, and like some companies are still kind of like
being
catching up to
Yeah.
the law change, but yeah, I have high hopes.
Well, that's
Also-
exciting. You'll have to check out Sip and Share and see if there's anything
I
that
will.
catches you fancy.
Because there are neighbors over in Indiana.
Yeah.
You're super close to Indiana.
We're
I
just
looked
across
at
the river.
Yeah.
I looked at a map recently because I had no idea where Louisville actually was, and because we got that email offering about the immersive hiking with the wolves.
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
Indiana.
We got really excited about that.
You
Let's
know
go.
who you are.
Oh,
We gotta go.
see the wolves.
We want to do it.
I'm drinking it doesn't have the label on it yet, but I'm drinking our upcoming, how do you say it?
The Gruner Veltliner.
Gruner Veltlinger, our gal's Gruner Veltlinger. It is
So good.
So good.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys.
limited a dish too, so you better run and get your 3-pack because they only made like 20 cases of that wine.
I already
and-
drank mine, so I'm drinking a White Claw.
and I'll be
Lovely.
ordering more
Mm-hmm.
because I love it. So that's what I'm drinking, and I've earned it.
You have.
Herb Ertlinger's Gerschwillinger.
You've lingered it.
Gertlinger flute.
Well,
right.
cheers, my loves, but I'm
Cheers.
technically not going to toast with water because that's bad luck,
It
as
is
we
bad
learned in
luck.
Superstition Crimes. But I'm making eye contact with you.
Okay.
I see. All right, save your good sex. We got
Yeah.
it.
All right. So, Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for Hoosier crimes?
There's no psych.
What?
There's a lot of artistic
Artisanal.
prose recitation, though. I'll warn you
Good.
right now.
All right. Well, background
Okay.
and poetry, background and prose.
Yes, background and prose.
prose.
Oh, God. Okay, at the top, I just want to say I will not be discussing the film Hoosiers because I found it very boring.
I didn't
And
even
it's like
know
a
there was
sports
one.
movie, Gene
Oh.
Hackman,
I
basketball.
haven't
ugh.
seen it. I don't know.
Lots of
anything about
sweaty
it.
high
good.
schoolers.
I'm good.
I don't like it. Okay,
Don't need it.
so Hoosier is the official demonym for a resident of the U.S. state of Indiana, a.k.a. the Hoosier State. The origin of the term remains a matter of debate within the state, and we will kind of circle back to that because there are
Okay.
a lot of interesting theories. But the word Hoosier was in general use by the 1840s,
Whoa.
having been popularized by Richmond resident John Finley's 1833 poem entitled "The Hoosier's Nest," an excerpt of which I will recite for you now.
Oh, my.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, this is just an excerpt. Like I said, the whole poem is about like the residents of Indiana and the beautiful rolling hills and rivers of Indiana, and like how the people came to like build their homes and houses in this beautiful.
Glossing over the genocide.
Yeah, big time. That said, from what I read, it was primarily inhabited by the Algonquin peoples before Western
White
colonizers came.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Hoosier met him at the door. Their salutations soon were over. He took the stranger's horse aside and to a sturdy sapling tied. Then, having stripped the saddle off, he fed him in a sugar trough. The stranger stooped to enter in, the entrance closing with a pin, and manifested strong desire to seat him by the log heap fire, where 6 Hoosieroons with mush and milk, tin cups and spoons.
Mush and milk. Gross.
I know.
I don't like this.
So this is okay. So
Mush
like
and milk crimes.
mush and milk.
Oh no! Is that what we're doing now?
So some stranger comes to the door of people who live in Indiana, and the stranger is describing his welcome in their home.
Got it.
This is a classic Hoosier home description. White heads, bare feet, and dirty faces seemed much inclined to keep their places. But Madam, anxious to display her rough but undisputed sway, her offspring to the ladder led and cuffed the youngsters up to bed. Invited shortly to partake of venison, milk, and Johnny cake. The stranger made a hearty meal, and glances round the room would steal. One side was lined with diverse garments. It's not diverse. I think that's just how they spelled it. Mm-hmm. The other spread with skins of varmints. Dried pumpkins overhead were strung, where venison hams in plenty hung. 2 rifles placed above the door, 3 dogs lay stretched upon the floor. In short, the domicile was rife with specimens of Hoosier life.
Wow.
So I hope that painted a beautiful picture for you.
A lot of mush, milk and mush.
Milk and mush,
And
baby.
varmint skins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A little bit of like a frontier kind of vibe.
Shway frontiersy. Also 1833, so like.
Shway frontiersy.
So the word Hoosier is used in the names of numerous Indiana-based businesses and organizations. Hoosiers is also the name of the Indiana University athletic teams. There are many suggestions for the derivation of the word, but none is universally accepted. There are a lot of theories. I'm going to outline some here, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
I've peppered the theories throughout
Ooh.
to beef it up, as Kenyon
Peppered
would
the
do.
beef.
You always pepper the beef, you know?
Mhm.
In 1833, the Pittsburgh Statesman, I'm assuming that's the newspaper, said that the term had been in use for some time past, very
Helpful.
specific,
Thank you for that.
and suggested that it originated from census workers calling "Who's here?" because they walk around to all the different farms to take the census.
That's unbelievably dumb.
That is the most prominent theory. Another is
Who's
that
here?
But they only
Who's
said
here?
that. They
Who's
only
here?
said
Who's
that in
here?
Indiana.
Right? Like there are census workers everywhere.
I don't know. Maybe these ones had some sort of impediment. I don't know.
So
Who's here?
confused.
Who's
Who's
here?
here?
These ones just gave up on like speech. Another theory is maybe that it was about the corn. So the quote unquote Indian word for corn, I'm assuming Algonquin-esque word for corn is husa.
Oh.
But I guess this is the most likely answer, is that in the early 1800s, a contractor by the name of Hoosier hired much of his workforce from Indiana, thus becoming known as Hoosier's men.
Okay, that makes more sense than the census situation.
So
No,
yeah, the
there are
census
more
makes
theories
no
that are
sense.
more ridiculous. Buckle up. One of the earliest known terms of uses of the term is found in an 1827 letter that states, quote, There is a Yankee trick for ya, done up by a Hoosier. Other early uses provide some clues about the meaning of the word. In 1831, General John Tipton received a proposal from a businessman offering to name his boat the Indiana Hoosier if Tipton would give him business in the area. So this name was really floating around in the early 1800s.
People liked it.
It stuck, you know?
It just stuck.
Sarah Harvey, a Quaker from Richmond, explained in an 1835 letter to her relatives, quote, "Old settlers in Indiana are called Hoosiers, and the cabins they live in are called Hoosier nests." So as you recall, that is the name of
So a Hoosier is not a type of bird.
Correct.
Because
Was
they
that
keep
your...
talking, well, if they keep talking about Hoosier nests.
Well, the nest meaning just the place where they live.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
We'll get to the birds.
question.
Don't worry.
Oh, good.
So here are a couple
I
other...
was worried.
Here are a couple of... Did you think I'd leave out birds from my background in
honestly,
psych?
for a minute, I
Hashtag
was
Indiana bird facts.
like, is she going to neglect the birds? Never neglect the birds.
Birds are fucking creepy. Okay.
They're not real. They're all drones.
I told you about the owl that Corey saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
So scary.
Essentially, there was an owl in the tree outside of our house, and a bunch of crows were like squawking at it. And Corey went outside,
Crows have eyes.
and the crows got scared and flew away because they have eyes. And the owl had its back to Corey, and as he was getting in its car, the owl just slowly turned its head 180 degrees and like made eye contact with
Hate
Corey, and he was like, "Oh,
You're cursed.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die within 24 hours."
7 days.
Owls are so cool, but I never.
They're so scary. You don't want to fuck with an owl.
No,
Yeah,
I don't want to make eye contact.
I
with
revere
it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It like I revere a medieval executioner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here are a couple of other theories on the origin of the word Hoosier.
Okay.
So another one is whose ear. So writer James Whitcomb Riley joked, this is satirical, that this question supposedly posed by early Indiana settlers following a tavern fight, which had resulted in someone's ear being cut off and left on the floor, whose ear eventually became the word Hoosier.
I love that. That's the one. That's the winner.
Mm-hmm. Or whose year. This was supposedly the way early Indiana settlers would respond to a knock on their cabin doors. So the first one we heard was like the census callers, who's here. But then this is saying maybe the people who answered the door, who's here. And then that was eventually shortened to Hoosier.
Knock, knock.
Don't like
Hoosier.
the knocking ones. It's stupid.
Or who's your blank, like who's your grandpa,
Who's your daddy?
your sister, who's your daddy.
Who's your daddy?
Again, this legend has, the legend is that this question was eventually shortened to Hoosier, but also kind of implies that like Indiana back then had a bunch of really small towns, so people would know each other like, oh, my uncle is so-and-so.
Okay.
There's some... and
Who's your daddy?
I'm gonna fuck this up, but there's something about how like people in... Oh, I'm gonna fuck this up, but like people in Georgia or people in Macon will be like, where do you... like, what do you do? Or like, where do you go to church or whatever? There's like something where like people in different cities in Georgia will ask a different opening question.
Yeah, it's like different colloquialism.
Yeah, where'd you go to high school? What do you do? And
But
then
it's
one of
always
them
the
is, where
same-
do you go to church?
Whereas it's always the same question in
that
specific
city.
places.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. What are you eating also? It looks good.
I'm sorry, I'm
Orange?
eating pineapple.
Yum.
Yum.
I was hoping it was cheese curds. Pineapple is good,
I was
but
hoping
not
it was just
as good.
Chunks of cheese.
It's pineapple, but it's really good with this wine.
I'm always hoping that someone somewhere is just eating cheese.
I had a
Anytime
bad
I'm not eating
experience with
cheese-
cheese curds.
Oh.
Anytime I'm not eating cheese, it is my hope that someone else somewhere
Yes,
on the
is
planet
eating
is eating
cheese.
cheese.
You got to get the curds that aren't fried. You got to get like the good fresh cheese curds. Those are the way to go.
The squeaky. Mm-hmm.
Those are the way to go.
There are pepper jack fried cheese curds at the Iowa State Fair, and there's like one specific booth,
Ugh.
and they're unbelievably good. Anyway,
Eat it.
so some other fun facts about Indiana. The peony is the state flower.
Pretty.
I
Good
like
get.
that.
Indiana bird facts. The state bird is the cardinal,
Okay.
which is nice, but it's not Soup's original. The cardinal is also the state bird of Illinois, Ohio, North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia.
pretty
Get your
common
own
bird.
state birds.
I also would like to point out that cardinal is synonymous in this context with red bird, and the only red cardinals are the male cardinals.
Correct.
So it's sexist and unoriginal.
Oh,
But a lot of female birds
Hot
are just
take.
like mottled brown.
right.
Yeah.
So they can
So
blend
that's
with the
tough.
nest and stay safe with their babies.
Hoosier nest.
The
They're
Hoosier
baboons.
nests. I like the female cardinals because they have like some pretty red. I think they have like a red beak or like a red neck or something. They're pretty. The state motto of Indiana is the crossroads of America.
Okay.
Some
the flyover of
I
America.
was gonna say the
they
drive
really
over
leaned into
state.
it. Yeah, that's rough.
Even going from Des Moines we were driving to Nashville, I feel like we were only in Indiana for about 4 minutes, and it happened to be the 4 minutes that we ran out of gas on the side of the road.
yeah.
Does Indiana have that top little like hat?
We just cut off a little corner of it.
Okay.
And we were like 30 yards from some state line. That's why
Doesn't
those two
Indiana have a
cops had to
skinny
show up.
top? Okay, I need to look up what Indiana looks like. I'm feeling
U.S. map.
So
Just-
some famous Hoosiers include David Letterman, Johnny Appleseed, who was a real person, Jim Davis, who was the Garfield cartoonist, James Dean, Adam Driver, both very attractive men.
Oh wow. Nope, not Indiana. Indiana does have a little tail down below. Maybe you crossed
I think
through
we were cutting through the
the
tail.
tail. I was thinking of
we probably drove through Louisville, and I didn't even recall.
I was fully thinking of Idaho. Fully thinking of Idaho's shape.
Oh, that's a very different area,
Yes, it is.
and
Pacific
not the
Northwest.
crossroads of America.
Not even close.
My brother and sister-in-law live in Idaho, and they gave us shirts for Christmas that is the shape of Idaho, but it says Iowa.
I love that so much. I love that.
People don't get the difference. It's a
Yeah.
completely different state. They don't even touch. Okay. Also, Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, the music producer.
Okay.
Florence Henderson, the mom from the Brady Bunch.
Oh.
The Jacksons,
Just
like
all
all
of
of the kids, at
Got it.
least. Abraham Lincoln. Cole
A lot of
Porter.
different states claim Abe Lincoln. Just gonna put that out there. Because Kentucky also has some claims on Abe Lincoln, and so does Illinois,
Is
obviously.
it that fucking hard to figure out where he was fucking born?
It was
Well,
a
he
while
might have-
ago.
Well, whatever. I took this from the Indiana like Department of Tourism website. What do they know? Cole Porter, Orville Redenbacher,
Luck.
Ooh. Now
Even
that's
better.
a claim
Now
to
we're
fame.
talking.
Colonel Sanders,
Oh.
and Kurt Vonnegut. So we're all over the fucking map.
Wow. Celebrities from
All right.
every
So-
corner of the zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
Here we go. Abraham Lincoln
Abraham.
of the
Abraham.
popcorn zeitgeist. Abraham Lincoln was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky, but he spent most of his childhood in Indiana, but a little bit in Kentucky also.
So you can
and
share
then
him.
he also grew up in Indiana. That's the same place we're talking about. I meant
Yep.
Illinois.
There it is.
I was like, ooh.
That was what we said.
Got it.
Yep. That's a thing.
Okay, so Abe Lincoln is whatever.
On
So
the
this-
fence.
On the fence,
Nah.
under the cherry tree. I know that wasn't Abe Lincoln, whatever. The state song is called On the Banks of the Wabash. Is that how you say it?
Wabash.
Wabash.
Wabash. Okay, the song is called On the Banks of the Wabash Far Away, which was written by a guy named Oh, wait. Sorry, that was stupid.
Tear away
Written
pants.
by a guy named Paul Dresser, a native of Terre Haute. I think I said that right. And dedicated to 14-year-old Mary E. South of Terre Haute, whom Dresser had never
Don't
met.
like that.
Had never met.
Don't like that.
It's a little weird, and here's a sampling of the lyrics. I'm sure the actual song has like a nice tune to it, but I read that and I was like, well, this is weird on many levels. He's presumably a grown man writing essentially a love song to somebody he knew in his childhood, but who happened to pass away at the age of 14. So she will forever be 14 in his mind. He never met her, and this is what part of his song was about her. Ugh. Many years have passed since I strolled by the river, arm in arm with sweetheart Mary by my side. It was there I tried to tell her that I loved her. It was there I begged her to be my bride. Long years have passed since I strolled through the churchyard. She's sleeping there, my angel Mary, dear. I loved her, but she thought I didn't mean it. Still, I'd give my future were she only here. Okay, you were fucking 14.
So he like invented this whole like relationship, but he didn't actually know this person, and she's dead.
Kind of sounds
And
like
she's a
it.
child.
Creepy.
I don't like it. That is the state song of
Oh.
Indiana.
Good job, folks.
And that's all I got for you because I was
Nicely
trying
done.
to stick to
Well.
Hoosiers,
Yeah.
and also there's not. What the fuck, Indiana?
Gotta be honest, it's not a
I mean, the
whole
state
lot
song
to
of
know.
Kentucky is like really racist and problematic. So
You know, state songs were established like a long
what
time
can you
ago.
get from the 1830s?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we just don't do state songs anymore. We're done
Need
with
'em.
those.
We
Yeah.
don't need them.
Yeah.
We're
And
over it.
fix
No
your
one knows
safe
it.
bird
No one
situation.
sings
Mhm.
it. Yeah, and get your own fucking bird.
Get
honestly.
a bird.
Yeah.
We should have state cats.
Yes.
I nominate
support
this one.
Ray is obviously Iowa's state cat because he's the size of Iowa.
Ray's Iowa State.
So that is established.
He's
As
actually
big
got
as a pig.
he's actually got some competition because have you seen that cat? Oh my god, I think his name is Big Lucas. Big Luca.
No, if you ask me, have you seen that cat that's like a specific celebrity cat?
You've seen it. It's the really fucking fat cat. It's orange and white, and it's running across the yard
Lord, he
towards the
coming?
camera. And the mother of the cat, like the human, is like, "Get up there, and she like spanks
Yeah.
him, kinda.
What?
See, you've seen it. That cat
I've
lives
seen
in
it.
West Des
You
Moines
sent it to
because
us.
yes, I've stalked it a little bit.
Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
they should be friends. I feel like Ray and
Play
Big
date?
I
Luca
think
would
Ray
get
and
along.
Big Luca would, yeah.
I'm going to let Pepperoni
And hit it
and
out.
Kitty Pants, Scott's cat, be equal representatives of Minnesota as
Well,
state cat.
If anyone listening knows about Big Luca personally, please send that information my way and also tell Big Luca's mother to shut down her privacy settings on her Facebook because she's way too easy to stalk. I know a lot about that family.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shut it down.
Well.
Boomers need to be told.
All right. So are we ready for my case? Yeah.
I know that mine's really dark, so I can only imagine how
Oh,
dark
God.
yours
Mine's
is.
really dark. And I'm really glad I had selected this for that Indianapolis live show. And I'm really glad that I'm not doing it at a live show.
Okay, because it would have been
'Cause people
too
won't walk
dark for a
out.
live show.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
I think we've
happened
discovered
once.
our limits for live show topics.
Yeah. Turns out. So, okay.
People have
In 19
limits.
Yeah.
Who knew?
In 1981, the Witte family was living in Beverly Shores, Indiana.
Are there
43-year-old
shores in Indiana? Do they have
There
lakes?
must be like a lake or a river. Yeah, it's the Midwest.
There's
At least
waterways.
something.
All right. I don't know.
I mean, there's
The
at least
drive
the
over
Ohio
state.
River.
I don't know.
Beverly Creek, Indiana.
Beverly Crevice.
Beverly Lick.
Lick.
What is with French
43-year-old
lick?
Paul.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, French Lick, Indiana.
It's the
Every
wolf
town
place.
in Indiana ends with Lick.
I mean, I feel like there are a couple.
So, 43-year-old Paul Witte was a volunteer firefighter, and his wife, Hilma Marie, 33, was a homemaker. Paul must have had another job as well to, make some money, but, money was an issue, and we will get to it.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 sons, Eric, who was 15 at the time that this case really begins, and John was 11. The family was, by most accounts, a pretty unhappy one. Lots of financial stress. They were constantly struggling to pay the mortgage on their house, and then they had fights about money just on a regular basis. So she's
Tough
tense.
stuff. Yeah.
Paul was also a heavy drinker, and when drunk, he became verbally and physically abusive towards both his wife, Hilma Marie, and his sons. Then on September 1st, 1981, police were called to the Witte home where they found Paul dead from a single gunshot wound to the head. When they questioned the family about what had happened, 15-year-old Eric told them that he had accidentally shot his father. He described how he'd been carrying the gun, which belonged to his dad, through the living room when he had tripped on a loose corner of the carpet and stumbled, causing the gun to fire.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I trip on carpet at literally every opportunity.
Yeah.
I trip all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even have many carpets in my home, and I
don't.
trip.
It could be a perfectly
I have
smooth
mostly wood
surface.
floors.
Yeah.
I've tripped if I'm walking down the stairs and not looking where I'm going, and then I second guess if there's another step, and there is, and I just wipe out.
Uh-huh.
It's
there.
an imaginary obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the bullet had struck Paul, who was napping on the couch, in the head, and he died almost instantly. Hilma Marie and John, little John, the younger brother, confirmed this story, telling police that they had witnessed Eric trip and accidentally fired the gun, so they both had seen it happen.
Thanks.
The shooting death of Paul Witte was ruled an accident, and no charges were filed against the teen because, the people that would press charges would be the mom, and
the
they just kind of
family.
all confirmed it was an
I
accident.
just thought that when it's something like a shooting, you can't decide whether or not to press charges.
You can't because it's a felony,
right.
but it's only a felony if authorities determine that it was a homicide and not an accident.
True. So
So
yeah,
as
maybe
long as a cursory investigation shows that it was an accident, which would include statements from
right.
the other 2 witnesses, then they probably wouldn't do a whole lot more investigating.
Okay.
But had they ruled
Right.
it a homicide,
And he's
yes,
15.
it's not a matter of pressing charges.
Right.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right. So after Paul's death, his widow, Hilma Marie, who did not work outside the home, could not afford to keep paying the mortgage on the Beverly Shores Lick house on her own. So she made the
Licking the
decision
shores
to move.
of Beverly Shores Lick.
Lapping the shores
is
of Beverly
Indiana
Lake.
Creek.
So she made the decision to move with her 2 sons into the home of Paul's elderly mother, Elaine. So her mother-in-law, the kids' grandma.
Okay.
Elaine lived in a retirement community near Michigan City, which I think is also in Indiana and
But
not in Michigan.
Near Michigan?
Let me see.
It's like Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, but that's because Kansas City is split by the Kansas-Missouri borders. That makes
It's
sense.
on Lake Michigan.
Okay, so that's probably why. All right.
That makes
Makes
a lot
sense.
more sense.
So they moved into a home. They moved into a retirement community. Essentially, I didn't know you were allowed to do
It's
that.
a retirement community, but it's the home that Elaine owns. So, like, she can have whoever she wants living in her home with her if she's the owner in the retirement
Yeah, I mean,
community.
some of those retirement
she could have a
communities-
24-year-old boyfriend.
Yeah,
She
some
could have
retirement
whoever she
communities
wants.
are like 50 plus, but not all. So maybe she did have more flexibility as to who can stay long term or live with her.
So Elaine had offered this. She offered to take them in because she was worried about them making it on their own without Paul as the breadwinner, and like they were already having financial trouble. So she like offered this. The small home was cramped with 4 people living in it, but it was calmer than things had been when Paul was still alive because they didn't have the abuse.
Sure.
You know, the boys didn't have to cope with their father's drinking and their parents fighting about money. So, like, it was tight, it was snug, but, like, easier
They made it work.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for a while, all seemed to be well with the family, or at least as well as it could be. But then, 3 years after Paul's death, police received a call from one of Elaine's neighbors in the retirement community who wanted to file a missing persons report.
Uh-oh.
The neighbor had not seen Elaine or Hilma Marie or the boys for weeks, and the home appeared to have been deserted.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
Don't like that.
Investigators began looking into the family's disappearance and soon discovered that it appeared someone had been forging Elaine's signature in order to cash her Social Security checks.
Ooh, the worst.
And I feel like when you're talking about Social Security, when you're talking about anyone under the age of like 70, you could say Social Security, but anyone over the age of 70, you have to say Social Security. So I should have said,
never
I
heard it
should have said
pronounced that way.
Social Security.
Social
I've
Security.
never heard it pronounced
Isn't that
that
a
way.
thing? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Social Security.
Maybe it's a dentures thing, but people over a certain
Social.
age say social,
I also
but they say
this,
social in other contexts.
this might just be my grandma, but she also says catsup and also go set table.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that's old people thing.
Yeah. The Davenport. My
The
grandparents
Davenport.
called it the Davenport.
That's a
instead of the
fancy
couch or the
couch.
sofa.
Yeah, that is fancy. That's some highfalutin.
Yeah, that's rich olds.
I mean, it wasn't. It was the same brown plaid couch for like 45 years.
I know, but it makes
But-
it sound more bougie.
it
and I
does.
love
It sounds fancy.
Yeah. The
Start
Davenport.
calling my couch a Davenport.
Do it. I support it.
People will be like, the fucking what?
The what and what?
There's also a city in Iowa called Davenport, so it'll
Couch,
be very
Iowa.
confusing. Couch. I'll just start calling Davenport couch.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Done.
Okay,
Flip
so
it.
somebody is forging her Social Security checks. And Hilma Marie was considered to be the main suspect in perpetrating this fraud, and she was eventually apprehended on a return trip home from California with John and Eric with her.
okay.
And Eric was now 18,
Okay.
and he had recently joined the Navy. Hilma Marie was arrested for forging Elaine's signature and cashing $1,135 in stolen Social Security checks. So I Googled it, and that's still only about $2,800 in like today's money.
A lot.
But
Still not a lot.
it's still stolen.
It's still stolen,
Mm-hmm.
but
And Elaine
maybe
is still
not worth
nowhere to
killing.
be found.
No.
Oh. I think we know
But
exactly
the
what
forgery turned out. The forgery turned out to be only the tip of the iceberg. When Hilma Marie and her sons were questioned about Elaine's whereabouts, a very disturbing story soon emerged. Whereas the family had presented a united front in describing the details of Paul's death 3 years earlier, now they turned on each other.
They had been in cahoots the
Police
whole
soon
time.
learned that Grandma Elaine Grandma Elaine had been killed so that Hilma Marie could have access not only to her Social Security, but also to her savings and other retirement benefits.
Oh, jeez.
Not
the
Grandma
sons-
Elaine.
The sons were describing their grandma's murder. During that time, they also came clean about a previous homicide.
Uh-huh.
It became
Hoosier
very
Daddy.
clear that the death of their father, Paul, their Hoosier Daddy, had not, in fact, been an accident. And it hadn't even been Hilma Marie's first attempt to kill her husband.
Oh,
Hilma Marie.
No, Hilma.
I know, Hilma Marie. You can go on the drive. There are photos of her.
Is she cute?
No.
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 The answer is no. Okay. Cleared that up quickly.
She's not even cute for Beverly Shores. Okay.
She's a Beverly Shores 4.
Ooh, yeah, she looks mean.
Yeah. Her face is very sunken. And this was like pre-meth days, and her face looks that sunken.
And her neck, she looks like I don't know, she's got like a stem for a neck.
Yeah. So Hilma Marie had made previous attempts to murder her husband by lacing his food with rat poison and Valium.
Ooh.
And these attempts had apparently begun after a bigger than usual fight about money. And they had taken out a loan to buy some furniture for their house, like a short-term loan. But she had used the money for something else without telling Paul, and he was pissed.
Yup.
And also,
She didn't spend it on a Davenport.
Yeah, pretty much. It all circles back to Davenport's.
It does.
Damn it. We should do Davenport crimes.
Done.
I'm down.
I mean, we are.
You never know what you're going to find in there. So Paul, who, again, was abusive, had become more and more enraged and was constantly screaming at Hilma and demanding to know where the money had gone and, like, you know, whatever. It probably went to buying Valium to try to fucking kill him. But
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, it's none of your
Valium and rat
business,
poison are
volunteer
cheap,
firefighter.
okay?
So when her attempts at poisoning succeeded only at sickening Paul, she turned to 15-year-old Eric and convinced him that his father was planning to divorce her and that they would all end up living on the streets if something was not done to stop him. So she
Okay,
was
so
scared.
manipulating your kids into
That's sick.
basically killing their dad.
Yep.
Got it.
So wanting to help his mother and not wanting to end up homeless, Eric had agreed to shoot his father in the head and then lie to police about it. So they cooked up this whole story. They all agreed to what they would say.
Oh, that's so sad.
That's awful. The trauma. Ugh.
John was 11.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
And they all witnessed it, like they were all in the room. Like the 11-year-old had to watch this happen.
I don't know if he was in the room, but he had to tell a lie to police
Yeah.
over and over again,
Yeah.
you know? So this whole plot had worked for a while. It had worked for several years. The death had been ruled an accident. It was like case closed.
If she hadn't gotten greedy with grandma, no one would have ever known.
Yep. So now, 3 years later, Hilma Marie convinced 14-year-old John to kill Paul's mother, Elaine, using essentially the same tactic. So she literally
Bitch, do it
younger
yourself.
yeah.
Stop having your kids do your
God.
fucking dirty work, you psycho.
That's
Yeah.
so fucking
and
gross.
there's something like extra predatory about like making your 15-year-old son commit a murder and then a few years later making your 14-year-old son commit a murder.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
has she got? What is
Right?
her deal with needing to manipulate teenage
Yeah,
boys?
that's like, you're like getting your jollies on
Yeah.
this now. There's like something very unsettling about that.
yeah, very spooky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to John and, quote, confided in him that she learned that Elaine was planning to kick them out of the house. And with no money of their own, they would end up on the streets. It's like, bitch, you can work.
Yeah, and
It's
also
the same fucking spiel as the
Yeah.
first
Same
time.
spiel. It's also not true.
No.
Elaine was the grandma. She had taken them in out of the kindness of her heart.
it was her idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that people can't change their mind, but it's like the mom is just making shit up, regurgitating the same story.
Yeah.
With no evidence to even back it up. But these kids are just so
And
young.
I feel like she waited until Eric was out of the house to manipulate John. Like Eric had turned 18.
in the Navy.
He joined the Navy.
That's true. Because then there would have been no one else there to be like,
Eric
Mom,
could have
no.
been like,
Grandma's not going to kick us out.
let me ask Grandma. Let me talk to
Right.
her. I bet she'd let us stay. Or like, I'm in the Navy. I'm making money now. I can send money home for you guys.
And
You know?
maybe John's the younger, right?
Yeah.
Maybe John didn't know how Eric had been coerced in the first place. So if John went to Eric and been like, hey, Mom said this, Eric would be like, wait a second.
Right. And also it's different. The victims are different. Like Paul, not to excuse his murder,
No.
but Paul was an abusive husband and father. And the boys probably on at least some level were
Knew
relieved
that.
to escape that abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But their grandma was just a
Yeah.
grandma.
Yeah. Who was seemingly a good woman who took them in to help them.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, in fact, Hilma Marie just wanted access to Elaine's Social Security checks and her life savings, which amounted to a few $1,000s. So we're not talking
not
about
even-
big bucks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
so sad.
Elaine. She didn't do anything wrong except raise an abusive husband.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can't blame the mom necessarily. I don't know.
Well, we
Who
have no
knows?
idea what happened. But
Yeah.
she's an innocent party.
Yeah. So Eric, the older brother, was brought in on the plan as well, and the three of them discussed methods of killing Elaine so that they would not, quote, end up homeless. They considered poisoning, strangling, and even pushing Elaine out of an upper story window.
Okay. So the other son is
Did get in on
definitely
it.
No.
still and likely still being manipulated then by
Yeah.
his mother. And
Yeah.
probably a trauma bond between the two of them because
Yeah.
he had already killed his father
For her and lied
for
about
her.
it.
Yeah.
And the only way they got through it was to all stick together, stick
Yeah.
to the story.
Yeah, and it would be so easy as a manipulative parent to be like, well, if you don't do this, if you don't help me with this, I'll tell the truth about what you did to your father and you'll go to jail.
yeah.
You know, like she has so much power
Leverage.
and leverage.
They're
Yeah.
digging a hole.
So just like she had with Paul, Hilma Marie attempted to poison Elaine on multiple occasions, but it apparently had no effect.
She is not good at
Even there,
murdering.
I don't feel like she just fucked up at murdering. I feel like she, and this is speculation, but like if you want to really murder somebody with rat poison, you
You'll
just
figure
put
it out.
a fucking shit ton of rat poison
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
food.
I
It's not
agree.
like, you know, like it's
Yeah,
not like
to fuck it up
gotta
once-
tinker with the dose.
Right.
It's like I think she was enjoying poisoning, not to the point of death.
Yeah, I'm with you on this.
People.
I am too.
Then manipulating her boys
Mm-hmm.
to share the guilt, share the blame. Also, it's like fun to like cook up a plot,
Yep.
you know?
And the more times when she was able to be like, okay, we have to all stick together, you're like tightening that bond. She's like dragging them down with her, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think this is totally part of her MO.
Yeah.
Because
So-
she didn't have to do that at all.
No, she didn't.
could have just poisoned the husband, poisoned the grandma.
Not involve the kids at all.
The boys wouldn't have had to know a single thing, which is what a good mother would have done.
Right?
Exactly.
God.
Mother of the year.
But actually, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I think it's just part of her MO for sure. So ultimately, Elaine was murdered by John, the younger son, who's now 14.
Ugh.
I told you it was going to get really dark. He shot his grandmother in the chest with a medieval style crossbow.
What the fuck?
What?
Where'd he get that?
He just like had it as like a toy. You know,
That is
they have
literally a scene from Game of Thrones.
Right?
Yeah, it's fucking Indiana. So they have guns, they have crossbows, they're like out playing with shit.
Medieval style.
Wow. That's a choice.
Is he a LARPer? Is he a gamer? Is he a Twitcher?
I don't know. I don't know how authentically medieval the crossbow was, but a crossbow.
Isn't a crossbow inherently medieval
Right.
style?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
So
He worked at Renfest. It's not his fault.
So following these interviews,
excited for Renfest.
I know. So following these interviews, the investigation of Paul's shooting was officially reopened, and his death was reclassified as a murder.
Fucking
John.
John, the nerd,
Oof.
has to bring in the crossbow.
Spill the beans.
Yep.
Spill the beans.
Ruining it for all of us.
So John was charged with murder for the killing of his grandmother Elaine, but he agreed to a reduced charge of voluntary manslaughter in exchange for testifying against his mother and brother Eric in their roles for both murders.
Okay.
Because John hadn't been involved in the first murder. Well, he had lied to police, but like he was alive.
I would have thrown them the fuck under the bus.
Right. Do what you gotta do.
I love my family, but pfft,
I'm not going down for this.
no. You're all
Bye.
fucked.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Bye.
Yep.
So Hilma Marie was charged with murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. I think multiple charges on all those counts. Eric, now an adult, because he's 18, was also charged with murder. And based on the details provided by John, Hilma Marie's mother, Margaret, so the boy's other grandmother, was also arrested and charged with attempted murder for assisting her daughter in planning the unsuccessful poisoning attempts.
Oh,
Of
wow.
Whoa.
So many people were in on this.
Yeah.
That's
oh my
a lot.
God.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when
They're
first
all
we
bad.
practice to deceive.
Except for Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
They're all bad.
So during her trial, Hilma Marie's defense attorneys attempted to argue that she had no role in planning the murder of Elaine and that John, quote, inspired by his obsession with Dungeons and Dragons,
No, don't
Okay.
blame
had
us.
acted alone.
Rude.
I know another person obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and I have managed to not murder anyone with a crossbow.
I don't
That
know, you
we
talked about your
know
grandma
of.
dying a lot.
Yeah,
She was
you
a-
reference your dead grandma
Natural
a bunch.
causes.
Yeah. Did
Well-
the unsinkable Helen die by crossbow?
No.
She died by accumulation of dust because she was 1,000 years old.
No, she died by impatience, ultimately. She didn't want to wait to be walked to the bathroom and she fell.
Yeah.
And when you're 103,
Is that how she died?
Yes.
She fell?
that'll get you.
Sorry.
Well, I mean,
I thought she passed naturally during one of her naps.
No.
And the nurses were playing dead or sleeping.
No.
She
And she
died
was
from
dead.
the fall? Like she fell
Yeah.
and died
Not,
instantly?
she didn't die like immediately, but she died. She was taken to the hospital and she died the next day.
Ugh.
Yeah. So she died of impatience, which is exactly the way that she would have
Lived.
wanted to go. Yeah. That tracks.
Which is what
Big time.
fueled her during life.
Correct. She died doing what she loved, complaining about a weight
And having to use
and going
the
to
ladies.
the bathroom. Yeah, exactly.
Be it at Olive Garden on Mother's Day
Correct.
or being taken to the bathroom.
Yes, to the ladies. God
To
bless her.
powder her nose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, good to know.
Now you know.
Now I know.
R.I.P. Helen.
She gone.
She go.
She gone.
My grandfather died recently, and he
Puppy.
basically died because he could no longer sit in his recliner comfortably, and they tried to make him sit in his like wheelchair and watch TV all day, and literally like 23 hours later he died.
Yep. They were
It
like,
was-
you
they
can't
were
have
like-
this chair
they-
anymore. And he was like, well, I'm out.
What's the point?
Yeah.
He was just like,
Bye-bye.
I can't sit in my recliner. I am fucking out.
Honestly,
Bye.
same.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an element of just giving up. I also
Yeah.
saw something, I think on Twitter earlier today that was like, or no, Andrea sent it to us. Someone was like, I overheard somebody saying of a dead woman, she wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but we were used to it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, everybody dies, right?
I love it. Yeah.
And everybody's at least a little annoying.
Yes.
Not everyone's a saint as soon as they die. Jesus.
My grandfather was a saint. So,
Poppy was actually.
Poppy was a saint. Okay, so John provided this testimony about how his mom had pressured him to kill his grandma, stating, quote, "My mom said I could strangle her or use my crossbow. It was up to me."
Wow.
Those are your two choices.
It's like, bitch, you strangle her. Why do I
Right.
have to strangle her? I'm 14.
right.
Strangling also takes a long time and a lot
Yeah,
of
that's-
pressure, and it's really intimate and
Yeah.
Which
I
makes
can't
a lot more
imagine.
sense why he chose the crossbow.
Right. Can't
Right.
blame him
Because,
for that
like,
choice.
that's terrifying.
Whatever happened to kicking her out of the window, though?
I don't know.
Took that one off the table.
So, scared, but wanting to do what his mother asked, John had chosen the crossbow and shot Elaine in the chest while she slept. Probably because he just felt like it was like the quickest.
Yeah. Ugh.
He described.
Hard to cover that up as an accident, as with your shotgun.
I was cleaning
dad thing.
it.
Yeah,
getting
I
ready
was
for a
cleaning
D&D
my
game.
crossbow in my grandma's room while she napped.
Yeah.
That was
It's not
our
that weird.
routine.
It's not that weird.
She
2
liked to
a.m.
fall
while
asleep
she
to the sounds of a
Crackling
greased
bacon.
crossbow.
Ew. God.
She died as she lived. Looking at my crossbow.
They got sloppy.
Ugh.
So, yeah. So he described how in order to work up the courage to go through with what he had promised to his mom,
Ugh.
that he, quote, partied with himself the night before, drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana in his basement bedroom in Elaine's house to,
Oh, this poor kid.
Psych
poor
himself up.
Yeah.
Oh.
he's 14.
That's really fucking sad.
14.
Yeah, and he's
Do
so
you remember what we
traumatized.
were doing at 14?
Yeah, we
Complaining
were-
about our braces.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were, yeah.
I was
precisely.
still using like Disney Adventures, probably.
Yeah. So he also testified that the morning after committing the murder, he had accompanied his mother to a court hearing about receiving disability benefits from his father's death.
Oh, wow.
So she was just toting him around.
Yup.
Whose disability? His or
His,
hers?
I think his, as like, because his father had died when he was young.
Like
and he-
survivor
trauma?
benefits or
yeah,
something?
Some sort of
PTSD?
money.
Oh my God.
He was a prop, basically, in a court thing to
Yeah,
like, get
some
money.
sort of government assistance.
Okay.
She, so his mom, had told him, quote, not to worry about killing Grandma Elaine and assured him that everything would be fine. The prosecutor
Okay.
argued that Hilma Marie had orchestrated the murders of her husband and her mother-in-law by her sons, Eric and John, based on the belief that even if arrested, they would only face charges as juveniles and escape severe punishment.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. You were really looking out for them.
Yeah, exactly. But also, Eric is now 18 and he's in
Yeah,
on
so
it.
he's going to be tried as an adult.
And also, it's fucking Indiana in
Yeah.
the 80s.
Yeah.
So
Oh, we'll
I feel
get
like
to
if you
it.
murder your grandma with a crossbow at
Mhm.
14, you still could stand the risk of being charged as an adult.
Oh, you will.
Also, the 80s crossbow, Dungeons and Dragons, satanic panic
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Yes.
as we know,
Right.
those
Yeah.
sorts of standards kind of get thrown out the window when
Yeah.
everyone's afraid of little satanic goth kids.
Oh, she also fucking threw her own son under the bus that she
Yeah.
had made do it, being like, I didn't do it, John did it.
Yeah, without even,
She's a sociopath.
yeah.
She's garbage.
Okay, so now it gets worse.
Oh, cool. Great.
Great. Should have seen this coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
cool.
you for this.
That's
Thank
the
you
only
so
twist
much.
is that it gets worse.
Great. Thank you.
I'm afraid to ask how, but here we go.
So John then described to the jury how when they returned home from the court hearing the day after the murder, he, Eric, and his mother dismembered Elaine's body using a saw, knives, chisel, garbage disposal.
Oh, no.
Trash compactor, deep fat fryer,
What?
and a microwave oven.
What the fuck?
Before putting the dismembered parts into garbage bags.
It's like this. It's like our Louisiana crimes. This guy thought that cooking the girl down would make her easier to dispose. I don't understand that mindset.
Amanda's really barfing. Amanda's like actually barfing. You okay?
That is
I know.
so foul.
I know.
Explain the deep fat fryer to me.
Don't explain it. Do not.
I don't
what
have
do you
an
need-
explanation.
What
If
do you
anything,
need
that
to
adds
know?
volume to whatever you put in it. It
Well,
fries
only
it.
if they're breading her. Otherwise, they're just cooking her down in oil.
Well, maybe if they
It
breaded.
doesn't really cook it down, though.
Well, they could bread it and then throw it away, and people would think like, oh, it's just like breaded meat.
You think they breaded her?
I don't think they breaded her.
I don't know how. I don't cook. I don't know how to deep fry fireworks.
I
was
have a
following
deep
your
fryer.
It's not going to cook anything down because it's submerged in oil.
Right. No, but I mean, like, if they're cooking her meat
I don't fucking know.
in small pieces, maybe the act of cooking it also makes it easier to put it down the disposal or something.
I don't fucking know. I think they were just
think in the
in
case
the
of a
house using whatever
deep
they had at
fryer.
hand. It was just probably a fucking horrific scene
A
with
hot
a child.
Indiana mess.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's fucking 14 or
This
15.
is
14.
Yeah.
Blech.
No,
The dismembering.
that is
It's
beyond.
one thing to shoot someone with a crossbow, but
Right.
the dismember there's so much work to be done. It's such a
Hours.
fucking mess.
Yep.
You're just prolonging all of this trauma times
Yep.
50.
You don't just bounce back from that.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
They then put the trash bags into the trunk of their car and fled the scene. And this is when they road tripped, crossroads of
Oh,
America.
right. And then when they came back, that's when the neighbors saw them. Okay.
So they drove west across the country, scattering the trash bags in landfills throughout Indiana, Illinois, and California as they went.
Wait. Indiana, Illinois, and California?
I guess they took a break. I don't know.
They're going about this all wrong. It's obviously a terrible thing. They shouldn't have done this, but they're also really fucking stupid about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she is. We're not going to lump her abused child into this.
Okay.
But yes.
Possibly Eric.
Yeah.
So when asked on the stand why they had chosen to dismember and discard the body parts in separate locations, John responded, quote, "So we wouldn't have to go through the same thing my brother did, a police investigation," because they didn't want to just like leave the body there.
Oh, to
and
like
you know
explain it away.
This kid is absolutely also like, that's not a response that he comes up with himself. It's like
exactly.
his mother was like, well, you don't want to have to go through a police
What
investigation,
Eric did.
do you? Like your brother Eric, so we have to go do this. Like that, he learned that
Supposed
from
to say
her.
that.
And
Yeah.
still under the guise that the mother is doing something to help.
Yes,
Her
to
kids.
keep us from being homeless because grandma's going to kick us out.
She keeps up that illusion of this is your only choice. You don't want X, Y, and Z to happen, do you?
Oh my God. This
Yep.
is some sharp objects level shit.
So the prosecutor said in his closing statement that at Hilma Marie's trial, quote, "We're talking about a cold, calculating, vicious conjuring of a plan and waiting until this senior citizen was at her weakest moment, lying in her bed asleep.
Uh-huh.
She," meaning Hilma Marie, "has not repented, she has no remorse, and she has shown no remorse."
Of course she hasn't.
No, and she won't.
No, she is a sociopath.
Yep.
Hilma Marie Witte was found guilty on all charges and was sentenced to 90 years in prison, 30 for
Bye-bye.
murder and 60 for both conspiracy charges.
She's going to die in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
This next part is confusing, and I did fact check it, and I feel like maybe the articles written at the time got it wrong, or some sort of legal something happened that doesn't make sense
Wasn't
to me.
reported on. Okay.
So this doesn't make sense, but this is what I read in articles from the time.
Won't ask any questions. Got it.
John, who is the younger one who
Mhm.
pled, was ultimately sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Oh.
But Eric, the older one, who was involved
part
in
of the
both,
plot.
was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Huh.
So I feel like either there was like a typo in the original article that then just got like propagated to, because you know how like one article states the facts and then like all the articles state the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So either they got the names mixed up and it's the opposite, or like something happened and Eric got a
Got
better plea deal.
Real lucky.
I don't really know.
Hmm.
One of
Yeah.
them got 20 and one of them got 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
John was released early for good behavior in 1996, so he's out.
Okay.
Hilma Marie joined Bible study and domestic violence support groups in Indiana women's prison
Mm-hmm.
and also completed her bachelor's degree. She's made several petitions for early release. All have been denied. One of these petitions read in part that she, quote, has through therapy, counseling, groups, education, time, and self-introspection overcome the issues in her life which brought her to prison. Which, again,
Maybe.
is a way of saying it's the framing of that sentence is
Mhm.
very much
I'm a victim of my circumstances.
Mhm.
This isn't my fault.
The issues in my life which brought
Right.
me to prison being I tried multiple times to
Right.
poison and kill my, yes, abusive, but also murder my husband.
Not a
and
lot of
then
accountability.
manipulated both of my children into
Yeah.
murder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
And
like that.
murdered and
deep fried my
dismembered their grandma.
mother-in-law.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the dismemberment.
I
Ugh.
mean,
For
sir.
a few $1,000s.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, she
just
got $2,600 total.
for a few $1,000s that she didn't really need because she was being
Taken
cared
care of.
for and supported by the woman she killed. So that also kind of begs the question of like,
Mm-hmm.
did you do it because you wanted to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are murders that are out of dire
Mm-hmm.
situations. And
yeah,
I
my
don't
children are starving.
Right. It doesn't
I'm desperate.
absolve the crime, but it at least explains
Mm-hmm.
the
It's a valid motive.
Yeah, to me.
Well,
this is
valid.
like you didn't even really need to
Nope.
kill her because you are already getting free room and board and she was willing to support you however you needed.
Also, probably, I would guess that her husband originally had life insurance.
Possibly.
I don't know. It seemed like I don't think they had no life insurance was ever mentioned.
Okay.
Mhm.
And they were struggling to pay their mortgage and stuff, so they might not have been able to afford even basic life insurance.
Gotcha.
Not everybody has life insurance, you know?
Right,
Like it's,
right.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot that was a volunteer firefighter and not a firefighter.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I think she was
I think she was just
into
a
it.
killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
do too.
think she liked it.
I
Yeah.
do
I
too.
think she
do
liked
too.
the power and the manipulation.
I think it's what got her through living under somebody else's roof,
Yeah.
basically. Like, where she felt like with her husband, she was like living under his roof. He was in control, and this is how she got the control back.
Oof.
And then living under her mother-in-law's roof, and she was pissed. And over a few years, that anger built up, and she started plotting.
Yeah.
And then her younger,
It was also the mother of her husband.
Right.
yeah,
Not her own
It's
mom.
her mother-in-law.
yeah.
Oof. Wow. Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. Shall we dive in? I got the fan pick case this week, so gird your loins.
Yeah, fanfic cases are so dark. Always.
This is
Y'all are fucked up.
Y'all are way more fucked up than we are. That's all I'm gonna say. So Shanda Sharer was a sweet, well-liked, smart, and kind 12-year-old growing up in the 90s. So she had great hair. You can look on the drive.
Oh.
Just really good
My hair
bangs.
would have been so good in the 90s.
Uh-huh. Really good bangs, really good curls. She was born in Pineville, Kentucky, but like Abraham Lincoln, moved a few times in her childhood due to her parents' divorce and then another divorce from her mother's second husband. So I think she moved twice and ended up in New Albany, Indiana in June of 1991.
I think that's very close to me.
Could
I'm
be.
going to Google that.
So, it's tough for a kid to move around and change schools, but Shanda made friends super easily, and she was enrolled at Hazelwood Elementary. She joined the basketball team. So she was like doing really well, making a lot of friends, and she became particularly close to one friend in particular who she had met at Hazelwood, a girl named Amanda Heverin. So
Never
the two
trust an Amanda.
never trusted Amanda. Well,
Definitely don't go into business with one.
it's not going to go well. The two eventually discovered that they were attracted to each other, and their friendship evolved into a romantic relationship. And
Get it,
with
girls.
Get it? With a school dance coming up, Shanda wanted nothing more than to attend with her girlfriend, Amanda.
Can we call them Shenanda?
Yes, we can.
Shenanigans.
So attending the dance with Amanda caused quite a stir, but not for the homophobic reasons you might think. When the couple arrived together, they were confronted by 16-year-old Melinda Lovelace, who happened to be the ex-girlfriend of Amanda.
And a character on Rosemary and Thyme with a very ironic name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Loveless, the ex.
Haven't
the
watched
ex,
it,
Loveless.
but I love that. Melinda was furious that Amanda was at the dance with another girl, and a heated exchange ensued, followed by weeks of consistent threats and bullying toward Shanda from Melinda. So Amanda was like not really harassed by Melinda. Melinda was more upset with the new girlfriend than
Right.
with the ex.
Right.
It's not Amanda's fault anyway, but
No.
when exes get pissed at the new girlfriend, it makes
Right.
no fucking sense to me.
I don't get that either. Or the cheater.
Yeah.
Or cheat the person they cheated with.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cheatee. I mean, it's
The
not
vehicle
great.
of the cheater.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Like, if the person knows that they're cheating, that's not great. But if sometimes they don't even fucking know.
No, they often do not know. And,
Yeah. Direct your anger towards the person who
Yes.
made the wrong choice.
Who made the commitment
exactly.
and broke it.
Yeah.
Yes. So Melinda has a complicated past herself. So there are allegations of abuse at the hands of her father, alcoholism in the family, sexual deviancy, like with her parents, that her mother would later note like escalated to abuse.
With her parents or
no,
of her parents?
I mean, kind of both. So her parents engaged in some like what would have been called at the time like swinging, basically. And then the husband like pressured the mom to like sleep with other women and other people and like let him watch.
Okay.
And like when everybody is consenting to that, great. But her mother
wasn't into
was
it, actually.
not really into it, and it eventually did say that he raped her on multiple occasions, and the mother actually made multiple attempts at suicide as well. And there were allegations of sexual abuse by the father of Melinda and her siblings, like since infancy. So there's a lot going on in that
I would
house.
term that not sexual deviancy, but her father was sexually abusive towards both her mother and
Correct.
her.
Correct. Like the way that it started was like, I only classify it in this way because in the beginning, it's from what I was reading, it seemed consensual with the mom and the dad, where like they were exploring their sexuality and exploring other partners.
At some point, that line was crossed.
And that either at some point that line was crossed and things escalated, or those behaviors had been there since the beginning and maybe she didn't see them or recognize them and didn't know. And then as their family grew together, you know,
so
things
is
started.
that part of why? Oh no, I was thinking of Shanda and how her family had
this is
divorced.
Melinda's family.
This is Melinda's
Melinda,
family.
the ex,
Yes.
the loveless.
Correct. So the dad would eventually go on to be a Baptist lay preacher, which means he's
Cool.
not ordained. He's like a proselytizer, but he like worked with the church.
It's like a substitute
Yeah.
preacher.
Great.
And yeah, super great. And would insist on having the church perform exorcisms on Melinda because of her behavior, which we can all agree was caused by his abuse and trauma. Yep.
Exorcisms themselves are traumatic.
Oh yeah, there was one report said that the church funded like 5 hours at a motel, which like you're taking this kid to a motel that you can rent by the hour to
like,
have an
basically tie
exorcism
her
performed
down.
on her. Mm-hmm.
No.
And also discredit her if she ever wanted to make allegations against you in the future.
Yeah, pretty much. So he was so respected in the church that he also served as a marriage counselor for
Great.
the church. And used that proximity to women, especially, to sexually assault one of his clients and probably more.
Perfect. He's
And it
just
was-
a full-on fucking predator.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was that incident that ended his work with the church. So in the fall of 1990, his wife, so the mom, found him like spying on Melinda and one of her young female friends in like a very inappropriate way. There's nothing in any of the reports that I read that elaborated more than that.
Probably
but it's like,
something about them changing or
Right,
peeing
exactly.
or something.
so the mom went after him with a knife because she was like, I have fucking had it with you, like fucking with our kids. The incident did put him in the hospital. It didn't kill him. He I think he raised his hand up to defend himself or to grab the knife, and he got cut pretty bad. So he got some stitches. And she, the mom, attempted suicide with the same knife once again. She did not succeed, thank God. But after this incident, the couple finally divorced. Dad moved to Florida, and that was that.
Wow.
So yeah, Melinda
That's so fucking
already
sad.
had a really rough start.
Yeah.
So the anger and jealousy and bullying in this situation are really not super
Well,
surprising.
that's the relationship that she has seen.
Right.
Involves anger and jealousy and bullying and control and violence and
And we will get
to her, that's how adults work.
yeah.
the violence.
Whereas my vision of a healthy relationship is modeled off of Lucy's parents.
Right. In my vision of a healthy relationship.
The time
Yeah.
at
Yup.
the cabin, burying bodies.
Great.
Yeah.
And your parents are really happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're highly functional
Yeah.
Yes.
since they hardly see each other.
I just want to be brought food and air conditioning.
Yeah.
That's all I need. So the harassment of Shanda by Melinda escalated to the point where Shanda's mother removed her from Hazelwood and enrolled her at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic School. Yikes.
Perpetual hell.
Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Hamburger help me.
Yikes. I bet they got a lot of handouts from the government, am I right?
I don't know, but that is a mouthful.
We were in a cemetery in Savannah, and the really I'm forgetting on the name of it, but the really famous, beautiful one, and a ton of the graves have Our Lady of Perpetual Peace or Our Lady of Perpetual Hope on them and whatever. And Zach was like, "What is the deal?
Right.
What is this?"
Zach's
don't get it
first
either.
contact with Catholicism.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know, that's some major Catholic shit.
We got a
I
lot of
don't know.
ladies.
Yeah.
We got a lot of ladies.
Yeah.
A lot of idolatry.
Perpetual help.
Oh, one lady, I think.
Yeah, they might all be the same lady.
Yeah.
So this
A lot of saints, anyway.
Yeah. This seemed to help at least for a little while, and Shanda was able to avoid Melinda because they weren't at the same school anymore. But in late January of 1992, 3 girls from Hazelwood arrived at Shanda's house and told her that they were there to pick her up to take her and go see Amanda, her girlfriend. They said that Amanda wanted them to meet at the Witch's Castle, which was like a nearby teen hangout that's isolated enough to be like a lover's lane.
Okay, I totally would have fucked at the witch's castle.
Yes, it's basically like an abandoned house in the woods.
It sounds like a medieval times
It's very
restaurant.
creepy. It's not that at all, but you know. So 17-year-old Lori Tackett was the driver. 15-year-olds Hope Rippey and Tony Lawrence were also like the girls that were part of that trio that showed up at her house. What Shanda didn't know was that Melinda was in the back of the car armed with a knife and like covered in a blanket, and that she had recruited Lori, Hope, and Tony in a revenge plot fueled by Melinda's jealousy.
This feels very, and I said this in the last episode about a different case in a different context, but this also feels very Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which
Yeah.
I'm finally starting because I finished Sharp Objects.
Yeah.
Honey,
Yeah.
Yes. I can't. I can't.
don't let your guard down is what I'm saying.
I won't. I've
'Cause
learned.
This week's episode, I let my guard down and then it busted me in half.
Yeah.
Busted you right open.
It busts straight up the middle.
Well, I'll try to get caught up this week so that we
Yeah.
can be watching together and then we can use our text chain to scream.
Yeah.
So Melinda revealed herself in the car, like jumped out from under the blanket and held the knife to Shanda's neck, threatening to kill her if she didn't confess to stealing Amanda from her. Shanda tried to speak but couldn't get words out, probably because she was fucking
shock.
terrified. And Melinda instructed Lori to drive them to a more remote location where other people wouldn't hear or see them. Thinking that this was all a plot to scare Shanda, because that's what Melinda had told these girls, like, we're going to take her
Yeah.
out, we're going to scare the shit out of her.
They thought they were just doing some extreme bullying.
Yes.
They didn't think
at
they
first.
were accomplices to what I'm guessing is going to be murder.
It's really
Don't
bad.
give it away.
Yeah, spoiler alert, murder. So that's what they think this is. So they go along with this plan and they drive off on what would be 7 hours of torturing Shanda. And this is really fucking bad. So I'm really sorry. I'm going to try to make this part of the story as short as possible because it is fucking horrific. It's basically like, if you're listening to this now and our crossover episode with Andrew Gurza on Disability After Dark about ableism crimes has already come out, it's as brutal as that, if not more so.
Okay, great.
so what you're
So just,
saying
like,
is I'm going to
prepare.
cry.
Yeah, you
gonna
might. It's
cry.
really bad because this girl's fucking 12. Anyway, okay.
Oh my God.
Here we go. So they drove with her to a garbage dump in a very remote and heavily forested area. Melinda and Lori pulled Shanda out of the car while the younger Hope and Tony stayed in the car.
So
Melinda
they're
and
older
Lori.
girls, and
The older
Shanda's
girls,
younger.
They're much older.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're older by like 1 and 2 years. The younger
Well,
girls are
one
15.
of them can drive.
The oldest is 17,
Correct.
right?
The 2 youngest ones are 15. Melinda is 16 and Lori is 17.
and Shanda's 12.
And Shanda is 12.
I know it's not many years, but the difference between a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old
Yeah.
seems vast at the time.
I
Oh, it
remember
absolutely is.
being in 6th grade, and Mr. Finney had the like high school boys basketball team come to visit us and sign autographs.
Mm-hmm.
They were like the high school boys basketball team, but to me, it was like
It's a big
the
fucking deal.
Adult.
fucking NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, you are the Monstars.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're
here.
adults. I feel like you could arrest me.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
No,
I
the
just
age-
remember being like, "Oh my god!"
The age gap between Shanda and these girls is significant.
Right.
But thinking of our group of friends when we were even in middle and high school, the age group between Tony and Hope, Melinda and Lori is not significant
Right.
to me.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
at 15 were definitely hanging out with like 16 and 17-year-old
Yeah,
boys.
but with
But
Shanda.
That's with Shanda, she's much younger. So Shanda and Amanda were also like a year or so apart, but both still in middle school, while the rest of these girls were in high school at this point.
Yeah.
So at this point, Hope and Tony are in the car, and Melinda and Lori taking the reins on this. So they took Shanda's clothes off and proceeded to punch, kick, and knee her until she was badly bruised and bleeding from the mouth. When they did attempt to cut her throat with the knife that Melinda had brought, they were unsuccessful because the knife was too dull. So they instead stabbed her in the chest. They then strangled her with a rope and put her into the trunk of the car, believing that she was dead.
Oh, no.
So the girls then went back to Lori's house to unwind over snacks and sodas and debrief. But midway through their hangout, they could hear Shanda screaming from the trunk and realized that she was still alive.
Oh my God.
So they drove her back out to the dump, stabbed her again, sodomized her with a tire iron, and then beat her with the tire iron.
Jesus Christ.
They then went back to the house to tell the other two what they had done. So at this point, Lori and Melinda did this second round. Hope and Tony stayed home. Then they go back. Shanda at this point is still alive.
Oh my God.
They just keep putting her back in the car, thinking she's dead, still alive. Shanda could barely speak at this point and whimpered "mommy" as they pulled her out of the trunk once again.
Amanda!
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. This is the fan pick case.
Guys! Fan pickers!
Get your shit together. They
Don't!
They wrapped her.
Comedy show.
I'm almost done. Just let me get through the rest of this. They wrapped her in a blanket. So they took her back out to a field, wrapped her in a blanket, doused her with gasoline, and lit her on fire and drove away. But Melinda had Lori circle them back to pour more gasoline on her and confirm that she was finally dead. Then all four girls went and got McDonald's breakfast and laughed about the night's events, even comparing their breakfast sausage to Shanda's burnt corpse. Yep.
I have nothing to say about that.
There is nothing to say. It's sickening. So it didn't take long for hunters to find Shanda's remains that very day, and she was so brutalized and charred that she had to be identified with dental records.
Oh my
A 12-year-old
God.
whose only
12-year-old
crime
girl.
was to fall in love
Like
with
a
her
girl.
friend.
Girl that she liked.
Because the murderers were middle and high school girls, they couldn't keep their mouths shut about what they had done. Melinda,
They also didn't think it was that big of a fucking deal. They go to McDonald's right after.
Melinda actually told Amanda, the girlfriend, and others the story, but Amanda and another friend that she told were reluctant to believe Melinda, thinking she was all talk. Melinda proved it by showing Amanda the trunk of Lori's car still covered in Shanda's blood.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
okay, go ahead and prove it.
Yeah.
Oh, dear
So-
I
God.
killed your girlfriend. Isn't
Yeah.
that funny?
Be with me. She swore a horrified Amanda to secrecy, but that night,
Terrified.
yes, completely. That night, the younger girls, Hope and Tony, lost their shit and went to the police with their parents and were like, I feel like all of these girls who participated in this came from troubled backgrounds, that Melinda having the worst of it, but they all kind of found each other through collective trauma.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and again, this does not absolve any of it, but I feel like the younger girls got really wrapped up in the
Yeah.
night's events that were clearly led by Melinda and Lori, and it escalated, and then they were in deep shock, and also probably still feeding off of the energy of Lori and Melinda, who were so casual about this that it's all right, we're going to McDonald's.
Following
And these
their
two
lead.
younger girls are just okay.
I mean, especially when you're 15, 16,
Yes.
17, peer pressure is
Yes.
the name of the game.
Correct.
It is
It's a
all of your
totally-
social interactions.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
it's
a
a totally
day of
different
school-
thing than peer pressure as an adult. It's
Exactly.
a totally
Yeah.
different
And then a
beast.
day of school goes by where you're not in direct contact with Lori and Melinda, and by the end of the day you're like, holy fucking shit, what was I a part of last night?
Yeah.
I have to tell someone.
This is real.
This is
Yeah.
real. And they told their parents and went to the police. So I'm not absolving them of
No.
anything, but it shows that there's still a shred of humanity and
Yeah.
ability to
It was delayed.
It was
Yes.
it was remorse. It was
Right.
delayed. But it
But
was
it's
remorse. And
it's a shred of something that leads me to believe that these girls with serious therapy have a chance
to be redeemed. Yeah.
being not even redeemed, but even just like
alleviated.
rehabilitated.
Yeah.
You know, so that they can be functioning in society at some point.
Right.
I don't
So-
know. I also, I don't know. I think that they went into this whole thing not under the impression that
No.
it would lead to a fucking
No, they had no idea.
death.
They had no
So
idea.
I don't personally think that they are
They're not as
remotely
culpable.
as responsible.
They're not. They're not. And in the eyes of the court, they are not, and we'll get to it.
So what's Lori's deal? She
We'll
just
get
was,
to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So within 24 hours of killing Shanda, all 4 girls were in police custody. All 4 girls would face trial as adults and be charged as adults. And Indiana has the death penalty. So eager to avoid execution, they all accepted plea bargains that would take the death penalty off the table. Lori Tackett and Melinda Lovelace were sentenced to 60 years in the Indiana Women's Prison in Indianapolis, but both girls were released in 2018 and 2019, respectively, with a year of probation to follow their release.
So wait, when did this crime first occur?
Like 92 is when they probably were sentenced.
So they were
So-
in for like 30 years, a little
Yeah.
bit less than 30 years.
Oh, okay.
When Lori was asked why she went along with all of this, like so enthusiastically, she really couldn't come up with a solid reason. And Lori also comes from some abuse and trauma, but she said, quote, "I didn't know Shanda at all. I didn't go into that evening knowing anything was going to happen or wanting anything to happen. I didn't. Peer pressure, that's all it was. It spiraled out of control way too fast. It's something that should have never happened."
It's like hazing.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like a
honestly-
mob mentality with a ringleader.
It's a lot like sorority and fraternity hazing, where
Yeah.
it's like you think you're gonna be bullying and you're okay with that,
Right.
but you don't think it's gonna go to that extent. But
And
in the
then
moment,
it
you're
just
wrapped
escalates
up.
so
You don't
fast.
feel like you're the ringleader.
Adrenaline is running.
If you're not the ringleader, you're not the leader. You just kind of let someone else take the reins,
But
and it's
also
really easy.
bystander
It's
effect.
really easy
I
to
think
go
it's
along
bystander-
with
for
whatever
sure.
the fuck your leader is pushing for.
I think it's more
Banality of
bystander
evil.
effect for the younger girls,
Exactly.
but Lori, like, she got wrapped up in it. She was
liked it.
participating in it, like hands on. So it wasn't a bystander thing, but it's definitely that whole like, I'm here, we're getting wrapped up in this whole thing. I'm following Melinda's lead, and
This
like,
is what we're doing.
this is
We're
I'm all
together.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I
I mean, I peer pressured both of you to start a podcast, which
Right.
is a heinous crime.
True.
and some reports also point
I
at
am not culpable.
point at Lori's strict religious upbringing that sparked her to rebel. She shaved her head. She dabbled in the occult, but like we all did
Who
that too.
didn't?
Yeah, minus the head shaving, but
I
we
didn't
didn't
shave my
kill
head, but
anybody.
I did all.
I've been
along
tempted.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
probably
it's-
will at some point.
You
yeah.
tried to peer pressure me, Kenyon, into shaving my head because you were like, you have a really cute shaped head.
You
You'd look
do.
really good with a shaved head.
You would.
You would look
And
really.
there was a time when I was like, should I shave my head?
I've
I
also
don't
thought
remember
about it.
pressuring you to shave your head. I
it
remember
happened.
a very intense
I believe
pressure
you.
campaign to get you to get a pixie cut, like Audrey Hepburn in what's it called? What's the Italian one?
Oh, Roman holiday.
Roman Holiday.
Yes.
I was
Yep.
like, you would look so good with this Roman Holiday pixie cut, and
But
you
in
were
like
like,
seventh grade,
stop.
I would just be like labeled like the lesbian.
The cool mom.
Like, no.
I mean,
we
I
were
had
maybe
a pixie
little
cut.
young.
we
for
were
it.
a little
I had a pixie
young.
cut way after seventh grade, and I was still labeled the lesbian. So don't go to South Dakota as a woman with short hair unless you want to be asked by every man in the bar if you have sex with women.
Why were you in a bar in South Dakota in like high school?
It wasn't high school. I said it was way after seventh grade. I had a
But
pixie
when did
cut
you
when I
have a
was like
pixie cut?
25.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then it grew out. I only remember the growing out.
Yeah, I had it for like a year and a half.
I distinctly remember the growing out.
Growing out
You looked
was rough.
very emo.
It was really rough.
Very flock of
You
seagulls.
look
Unless
like
you're
an
ready to
emo
commit.
male lead singer.
Yeah, it was tough. The growing out is not easy.
Well, the point here is peer pressure is
Yeah.
very real.
Peer pressure's
very real.
bitch.
So,
Kenyon launched a campaign.
I remember cutting out pictures of Audrey Hepburn and Roman Holiday.
I
and
believe
sending
I
it to you.
do too, and I'm really glad that I had a little bit of a spine in that particular moment.
just a nub of a spine.
Just a little baby spider web strand of a spine.
Yep. So obviously peer pressure plus frontal lobe not being developed.
Shape for it.
Well, it's not too late. I could be in
Yeah,
an
you still have a
explosion.
head.
Yes, I do have a head.
Shave it. Why not?
I already don't really have eyebrows, so if I were in an explosion and lost all the rest of my hair,
Wait, where does an explosion factor into this?
to lose all my hair, it got singed off. I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna
pixie
I'm
cut
gonna
is
move on.
different.
I'm gonna move on. We're done
And
with
I'm
this.
not gonna get a pixie.
So Lori later said on a Dr. Phil episode, quote, "My opinion is that people kill to feel superior or high on the victim's fear, and they're thirsty for the spill of blood." So I think we know Lori's stance on
Vampire
why
Lori.
she was so into this.
It's extreme bullying, extreme hazing, and she
got off on it.
yeah.
So it seems that Melinda had found her like perfectly troubled counterpart to act as her accomplice in Lori. And Shanda's mother had believed Melinda to just be like dead inside. She said in an interview, quote, "I had many times said, if you want to see as close to a person who has absolutely nothing inside of them, look into Melinda's eyes because there's nothing there." Which, like,
That's
fair.
sad.
Your child is charred.
Yeah, the parents of the dead child can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, and she comes around, and that's how I chose to end this, because we needed some sort of healing. But
Yes,
so
we
obviously
do.
these girls had serious trauma that shaped this event, which does not forgive what happened here by any stretch, but serves as a terrifying reminder of what human beings are capable of, especially when raised in abuse and trauma that goes untreated. And like, kids are literally stupid because their brains are fucked.
Yeah.
And like, they can get wrapped up in this shit so
Chemically
easily.
stupid.
Yeah.
They're
They're chemically
the basest
stupid.
form of a human being, which involves violence and control. It just does.
It's not good. So prison, as it turned out, was a positive change for Melinda. She found structure and support behind bars that she did not have in her home. The Indiana Canine Assistant Network, or ICAN, ICAN, worked with prisoners on training service dogs, and Melinda became heavily involved with that program. So like, this program would basically bring like puppies to the prison, and then individuals serving time in the prison could participate in the training that creates these service dogs.
Socialization.
Yeah, for like
all
people
that.
with disabilities.
Amanda, remember when, like, a few weeks ago, we were at Blortney's house and we met that cop who is her
Yes.
neighbor, and he had a police dog, and I was like, oh my God, I really want a cadaver dog. And he was
like,
silent.
He just blinked at you.
He literally was like,
And then we like taught Blortney's kid to say ACAB, and it was super great.
Really?
we taught
Casually.
We taught Blortney's son
We taught
to
him the nuances of the rotten tree that is the current judicial policing system in the U.S. because it's all based on slave catching racism.
And he's 5, so he totally got it.
He absorbed
He's
it.
5. We taught him to do this, like with his pinky finger, when like a car with like the muffler purposely taken out for attention goes by. So we were like, do this.
Oh,
Technically, that's body shaming, but
Yes. Technically it is.
yes.
Anyway.
Literally, those fucking muffler-less cars are fucking annoying.
They're the worst. So, She got involved in this program, and it like really helped her like recover.
Good.
And Shanda's mother admitted to Melinda's transformation. She said, quote, "I was really taken aback. I saw someone almost reborn. She was sincere. She was compassionate. I think the ICANN program allows her to have something in her life that she can show love back to, and there's never betrayal on either side."
Yeah. I mean,
And-
trust dogs over humans any day of
Always.
the week.
So
as much as I don't like horses or like the culture of horses, there's a similar like convict or not
Therapy.
even convict, but like trauma therapy involving horses because there's that mutual trust.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So in an act of forgiveness, Shanda's mother even donated a puppy to the program specifically for Melinda to train in prison, which she said she did in honor of her daughter. The puppy's name,
this woman is a queen.
yeah, is pretty. It's pretty incredible. But like it also shows how working through your grief and trauma and getting to a point where you can forgive can be so healing for people.
Yeah.
I'm, not to say like you have to forgive the person who fucking ruined your
No.
life, because you fucking don't.
You fucking don't.
You fucking don't. But for some people who do, they find it to be like restorative justice. They find it to be like very therapeutic.
like, think
so I
about
support it.
What a great mom she is. Like, her daughter at 12 was like, "Hey, I want to date a girl." And she was like, "Cool." Openly
I mean,
date
I
a
don't know
girl.
anything about that. There's nothing to suggest that there was big backlash from her family for
Right.
it, clearly.
But it's evident in this puppy donation thing
Right.
because that allows for healing and maybe a little bit of trust on both sides. So
I'm just saying, like, she was. We don't have evidence to suggest she wasn't cool.
Right.
With her middle school age daughter having a same sex relationship. When her daughter was being bullied in school, she got her out and moved her to a different
believed
school.
her, and no, I mean, by all accounts, she's a fucking stellar mom,
Yeah.
and clearly a stellar person, just
Yeah.
in general. So Melinda said in an interview about Shanda's mother's act of kindness, quote, "She helped me to heal, forgive, and grow, whether she wanted that or not. She did a good thing. I would thank her. I couldn't thank her enough. Angel," which is the puppy, "is in good hands, and I'm doing it for Shanda, and I'm doing it for her," the mom. The younger girls, Hope, Rippy, and Tony Lawrence, were also sentenced originally, to 60 years each, but with 10 years reduced for mitigating factors like their age and their troubled family situations. The sentences were reduced more on appeal. And Tony was released in 2000 after serving 9 years. Hope was released in 2006 after serving 14 years.
I feel like that's
A
wow.
little
Pretty-
more fair.
pretty
yeah.
fair. Yeah, because they were so young.
Yeah.
And that is the worst fucking case I've ever had to cover.
Second
so
worst.
thanks.
I can't remember. It's all a blur. People ask us what we've covered, and I have no idea. It's
I
all
don't
a
know.
There
blur.
was one that Amanda covered about the little baby girl in the garbage bag. That was
That's
probably
not-
worse.
I don't remember that.
We don't
Probably
need to rehash it.
in order to
No,
Probably a
this
fan
was up
pick.
there. Thanks.
Probably a fan
It
pick.
was definitely a fan pick. You
All
guys
right.
are fucked up.
You
Yeah.
are.
Stop it.
Especially Braxton and Sammy.
Especially fucked up are our fan pickers for Hoosier Daddy, Braxton and Sammy Powers.
That case gave me Braxton Hicks contractions.
Yes. That case is real dark, but also Indiana maybe is just really
Come
dark.
on, Indiana.
But also Louisiana
Yeah.
was really dark. So
Yeah.
maybe just
Oh, I
like
know.
when
People
you
were like, Why are
dive
you
deep
doing
into
this
a
to my
state.
state?
Yeah.
It's like, we love your state, but we're a true crime show, so we're going to find the darkest shit or be
mean-
sent the darkest shit.
Maybe the takeaway is that this deep dark shit happens fucking
Everywhere.
and
Yeah.
it's only till we get to these like regionally specific topics that they
Right.
kind of surface, which is
Come out. Also,
shame.
I know that we have some little baby muffin listeners who are like, I mean, at this point, I consider people in college baby muffins, but like high school and college kids
Yeah.
who listen.
Middle
like,
school kids. I know
middle
you're out there.
school. Oh, God.
We see you.
Oh, yeah.
Just, it's okay to tell your friends to fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to go along with what they're saying or doing because
You don't.
they are just as dumb and scared as you are. And you can, if you don't feel comfortable, just be like, I'm out.
And
You know
fucking
what?
walk away. And I get it. In this case, like, these two younger girls are 15. They all came in one car together. They can't
Yeah.
drive. This shit is escalating so fast. It must be so scary. I don't know, but it's like, and I know there's trauma, so I'm not trying to.
I'm not blaming. I'm just saying out there, people listening out there.
Right.
I know we have
like, tell
really
your
young
parents. Like, they
listeners.
dropped these girls off and then went back out and did more.
Yeah, you could have saved
Shanda,
a
like,
life.
Tell an adult. Like, it's so bad
It's
all
okay
around.
to stop. It's always okay to stop when it comes to
murder.
murder, when it comes
Bullying,
to sex,
abuse, sex.
I had a
you
code
can
word.
stop at any
drinking.
point.
I had a code word with my mother every time this wasn't necessarily because like bad things were happening. It was mostly because I've lived with social anxiety my entire life. And sometimes I just want to go home and I don't want to sleep over, okay?
Yeah.
But I'd have a code word. I'd call my mom and I would say, Mumsy, can I sleep over at Kenyon's house tonight? And if I say Mumsy, that she knows.
To say no.
She knows. Yeah, it's like, no, we got stuff to do tomorrow morning. We
clever.
need to eat dinner. Have a
Yeah.
code word.
Have a code word.
Your friends don't need to know that you're backing out. Just blame it on your parents.
And also, it's okay to back out. If you're the one person who backs out, they're actually going to think that you're more of a badass.
Probably.
And if
back
you just
out
go along
all
with
the
it.
time.
I love
backing out.
I fucking
Yeah.
love backing out.
Fucking
Flaking is my favorite pastime.
absolutely.
What even are my commitments?
And like with sex, like in college, I remember once being in the middle of something and not having a good time and just being like,
Shut it down.
we're
I'm
done.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yeah. I'm over it. I gotta go.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
done.
the moral of this story.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Indiana.
I need to go eat another gummy because
Yeah.
I think I just sobered myself from
I know.
all my
I gotta
meds.
get kind of fucked up before we do our special things. Anyway,
Well, we
middle
love you.
schoolers, take care of yourself.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Please.
We're adults, okay? And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.